الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothin But Facts live stream, and we take health pretty seriously here. I think on this live stream we take a lot of subjects seriously because Allah created us. He created everything has to be holistic. The prophetic way is holistic. This is Allah's creation. What happened to the lights in the back? It's on or off? It's on. What are we going to go with? Blue, cayenne, purple? I guess we'll... Prophetic living for green? All right, good. Prophetic medicine today is a subject. Finances is part of life. And Allah is the creator of all wealth. Because all wealth goes back to gold. It goes back to silver. It goes back to animals. It goes back to crops. And ultimately, the one thing that was neither eaten nor worn nor anything were these rocks, gold and silver. They're rocks, right? They're not metals. Are they metals? Precious metals, or are they rocks? No, they're precious metals, right? Why does the gold doesn't look like a metal, but it is a metal? But when it comes out like a rock, but it's a metal. Okay, so those are. No, you're talking terminology here, man. Make sure your mic is on. Pull it around because he has got a lot of good things to say. What happened to the mic? Why is it taking off the handle? Okay. And anyway, stick it back on so you can bring it close to your mouth. But ultimately, what is the divinely created currency? It's gold and silver, right? And we might not use that now, whether that's smart or not. Allah knows best. I don't think it's smart, but we don't base our currency off it now, but for sure it was. And therefore, whatever we have now is based on the wealth in the past. So therefore, whoever is the creator of gold and silver is ultimately creator of all money. And so wealth is something that it has to be managed properly. It has to be understood properly, spiritually and from a worldly perspective. From the worldly, Prophet ﷺ said, narration in which 9/10 of wealth, where does it go to? You know this hadith? It goes to the buyer and seller, because that's the guy who takes the risk. The employee doesn't take a risk. At the highest level of employee is not nearly the amount of risk as the merchant. Merchants, they lose everything all the time. In fact, you're not even a real businessman until you have lost everything all the time, unless you have gone to court or at least once. You've lost everything once. You've gone to court to fight, and you've been accused of something. So those are the sort of the elements of wealth. But plus, look at how we're treated with not just zakah, but how the Prophet tells us how to earn wealth. Right? The Prophet even teaches us. So wealth is an important part of life. And there's a lot of matters in the deen that are built on wealth. Marriage is mainly built on wealth for guy's side. If the guy's side doesn't get that, then they're in for a rude awakening. It's based on wealth. I just saw an Instagram thing. Somebody said, I asked the guy what he brings to the table. He gave me a list, and then he turns and said, what do you bring to the table? To the woman. No, that's not, he didn't understand. She's not expected to bring wealth to the table. Right? Maybe she brings other things to the table, but not wealth. Wealth is such an important element for men. Earning for men is so important. If he doesn't earn, he starts to feel like he's in the dumps. Okay, and then his behavior just becomes erratic. Why? He's not earning. Then when he does earn, his true colors come out. Right? His true colors come out. So sometimes Allah actually protects men from their worsts by decreasing their wealth. But in any event, I look around at a good community. Imam al-Haddad said 25% of a good community is based upon the wealthy. Now, 25% of the community will not be wealthy, right? But their impact is 25%. He said the community is based on 4 features. Number 1 is religious knowledge. And in any community, how many fuqaha are there? They're the least in any community. They're the least. There are what out of in a 1,000-person community, the 3-4 fuqaha, like who do scholarship all day. Not like they know stuff. No, scholarship is what they do. Then the next is, I think these are the most, and these are the zuhad. The zuhad, and the zuhad should be many. There should be many people who always attending the religious, spiritual side of things. They should be always into that. So that's why, like, the dhikrs should be filled and stuff like that. We need a lot of zuhad. And then from them, there's an elite as well. The I'm all jumbled up. Number 3/3, okay? The third one are the administrators. And these are the amirs. These are the people who know how to run the meetings, who know how to set targets, who know how to set goals, who know how to manage teams, who hire and fire. You have to have amirs in the community. Is there a crisis of amirs in the community? Well, you always hear people whining, complaining about boards all the time. You don't need too many people on a board. You need a great amir. Okay? You need a great amir. And from the Sunnah of Allah, he puts the burden on one. Okay? And then that amir should train future amirs. And of course, every amir has to have a great shura. Umar ibn Khattab could not have done what he had done without a great shura and a great generation of sahaba behind him. Number 4, who's paying for all this? The wealthy. Okay. And there's wealthy, and then there's the super wealthy. When you have righteousness on all 4 sides, then you have a great community. You can't have righteousness on 3 out of 4. You can't have if you're going to have righteousness on 3 out of 4, you may have something good, but you need righteousness on 4 out of 4. Okay, that's what we need. You have to have the wealthy have to have taqwa, and when they do, they could take the community from the ground to the stars. Yeah, they're the ones who can do it, because you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of piety, and you're well organized, but you have no oxygen. The wealth, your money is your oxygen. So we talk a lot about money, but we talk a lot about health, because there's 3 things I always talk about. When you get old, you want to have a habit of ibadah. You have to know how to do it. People, like, they know it as a topic, as a concept, but do they know how to sit in majalis, to sit by themselves and do ibadah and dhikr? Does it satisfy them? Do they feel that this is it? This is what I exist for? Mufti Azimuddin, when he took his Shabab out to Umrah, one of the things they did was they committed to doing a Khatm A day each. Not the group divided into 30, 1 juz each. No, a Khatm A day. No wasting time. We're not going strolling around. No. When you have to do a Khatm A day, you have to spend about 8 hours to 10 hours doing nothing but the Khatm. Okay. They're all in a different state. When you have a whole group that's doing that, they were all in a completely different state. And one of the things that he mentioned about the clock tower, he said, something's off about this place, right? Every single time we went to, let's say, just pick up a bite, we all got headaches, right? It's like something about that place, like there's so much tijara happening, out of balance amount of tijara. When I go to these places, I'd much rather eat in the little mom and pop operations rather than the fast food. I mean, fast food we shouldn't eat anyway. But if you're going to knock out after eating fast food, you don't want to knock out in Mecca and waste the time, right? So just eat the mom and pop or rotisserie chicken that doesn't have a lot of oil in it. So we talk about ibadah. What is the value of being very worshipful if you're sick, right? You can't do anything. So you need your physical health. Now, if you have these 2, you can be happy. But if you don't have wealth, then you can't enjoy these 2 things. You're going to have to work. Or you're going to live in a little tiny situation with no opportunity. So these are the 3 things if you're aware about these things, in your 30s and 40s and 50s, then you're going to be very happy 60, 70, and 80. And here's the other kicker. What's the other prerequisite? Is that you're alive at these times. Well, if you're a man of taqwa and you die, no big deal. You're going to somewhere better. So you're in a win-win. I knew a guy who said, who cares about this? We're all going to die anyway. Yeah, but you can die with the last 10 years being wonderful or miserable. Pick one. Right? And you don't know how long you're going to live these days. So you got to balance these three things out. Now, I'll tell you what, when people get to an old age, what actually I don't think matters is what people are putting in front of them now, which is how much pleasure did I get? What's my position with my peers? What are the great things I achieved? These three things is what everyone's chasing now. But when you hit that last leg of life, those things don't matter. It's all faded away, right? It's all fading away. And what matters is, have you kept up your deen and your heart and your iman and your taqwa, and you have life in your heart? You see these old people going to Umrah or going to the masajid, right? It's inspiring. You want to see those people? Go look at Tablighi Jama'ah. They're elders. They did something right? They're old men. And all the people, all the families that were always involved in the things that touch your heart. So in England, in the Brailvi community, their common people are always going to something different. There's always some majlis or something. It keeps your heart alive, right? I'm talking about the common person. He's always going to something. There's always some occasion to put the lights up and to pull out the plastic flowers, right? But it keeps their heart alive. Their love of Allah and His love of the Messenger, it's alive at an old age. That's what matters. Keep your heart alive. Far more important than having a lot of information about Islam in your head. So that's one thing. The second thing is that the achievements of life, they just fade away. And people don't sit in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Achievement is not something you can have now. It's usually, or maybe not 50s, 60s, but 70, 80, 90. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So for somebody who's at a fork in the road, I could sacrifice time with my family and my kids, or I could take my successful career and make it super successful. Super successful is not going to be the big deal. Good relation with your kids is 10 times better. And whatever's better in the last stage of life is better for the akhirah. Because you're heading towards the scale of afterlife. So whatever you say that an 80-year-old says it didn't matter, then on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're going to wake up and it didn't matter. You're going to get resurrected and it didn't matter. So we in the 20s, 30s, 40s were deluded by Iblis, by all these things that literally don't matter. And the proof that they don't matter in the next life is that they don't matter in this life if you live long enough. SubhanAllah. And that's one of the great wisdoms why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبْرِ. Okay. When your parents reach old age with you. So you're in the driver's seat now. It's your home. You're controlling the situation. You bring them in and they become your dependents. Right? Not you go move with them, which makes no sense, which I see some parents insisting. Oh, I'm sick. Come move in with me. How does that make any sense? The young guy has got to work. He's got the kids. You got to move in with him. And some of them have a great. They're literally on vacation. 2 months she spends with one kid. Another 2 months she goes, another kid. Another 2 months I'll send you a plane ticket with another kid. She's on vacation. Her whole life is on vacation. Right? She goes and she helps out. But the point is that when they live with you, you start to their perspective of where they're, I don't want to sound like new agey, but the spiritual state that they're in because of being near death. You don't have to be a spiritual person at all, but when you're near death, things change. Your mind, everything changes. That starts to seep into the household. Then you also have, at the other side, 12-year-olds who are discovering life afresh and 5-year-olds who are discovering life brand new. Everything is a discovery. Okay. Everything is exciting. Then you have your teenagers who, if their head's screwed on right, really think of like, how am I going to build my life up? What am I going to be? Maybe a doctor, be a dentist, be a lawyer, be a businessman. And he's really taking life super serious because it's ahead of him, right? And you have all these things mixing. It gives you a perfect, healthy balance. Realize like there is a balance. There's a degree to which you have to take the dunya very seriously, but to a degree, because you're embarking upon another temporary phase. Be a doctor, be a dentist is wonderful. It's important, but it's also temporary. So you have to keep it another investment, another bank account that's going to be investing for what's beyond that. So that's what having 3 generations in one house, you actually get the best perspective on existence. And then you start to know what really matters and what doesn't matter. Now, financial stuff really matters, but today we're talking about health today. In specific, where's our guest yet, Arifu? Not on yet. In specific, Tibb al-Nabawiyya. Now listen to this roast of modern people's Muslims take on Tibb al-Nabawiyya. Okay. Much of what is called prophetic medicine today has been reduced to superficial lists of herbs and remedies, stripped of their depth, context, and metaphysical framework that once made it transformative. This is the first course of its kind. He's teaching a course integrating spirituality, metaphysics, cosmology, religion, cutting-edge science, and the deep wisdom of ancestral medicine into a single coherent framework for modern life. Deep understanding of prophetic medicine. So seeing food as medicine. Steve Jobs famously said, view your food as medicine, or else one day medicine will be your food. Okay. Integrating body, mind, and soul in diagnosis and healing. Understanding the profound role of the mother and father in shaping the health of their children long before birth. Uncovering how a mother's own birth, upbringing, marital harmony or discord, emotional baggage, physical health, and spiritual state shape her child's future body, mind, and soul. Okay, we're really holistic here. We're into what our society would start calling psychology and therapy, but for us, it's all mixed. It's all one. We don't separate these disciplines out per se. Same thing, how the father's health, presence, and emotional state equally imprint future generations. Discovering why so many modern childhood illnesses, learning disorders, and emotional instabilities are preventable when you address them at their roots. You know how Sheikh Rami Nasur, how he handles the I can't remember the right term that he likes to use. I don't think they use inmates. I can't remember remember the term. I can't remember what the term is, but basically the people in prison, the incarcerated, is that he reconciles them with their parents, even if their parents are dead. He said, I want you to think of everything. Why are you distant from them? List it out. Then what do you think happened to them in their youth that made them like this as adults? Right? And he starts listening until he starts feeling almost empathetic towards them, sympathetic. He feels sorry for them. Right. And then they study the book in the Sharia and the curriculum of Tasawwuf on the rights of parents. The curriculum of Tasawwuf in Mauritania is very practical spirituality. One of them is the guarding of your tongue. Another one is the rights of parents. And then they start writing them letters. Right? Reconcile with them. And then if your parent's dead, reconcile with them. If you don't even know your dad, reconcile with him. And then whatever feelings that they have, that's like the real therapy, reconciliation with the parents. If you look at most therapists today, they actually encourage rebellion against your parents. Or your parents don't understand you, but I do. Right? The therapist or some of these counselors that try to make you go one way or the other. So his name, our guest, is Hakim Shabaz Ahmed, groundbreaking figure in healthcare, seamlessly harmonizing ancient wisdom with contemporary medicine, science, and research. A certified naturopathic practitioner and an authorized practitioner of traditional Indian medicine through Ijaza, he also possesses a strong grounding in allopathic and traditional Chinese medicine. His expertise spans a whole spectrum of healing systems, further enriched by his certification in psychotherapy, with a focus on cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay. Deeply grounded in all these methodologies, he came to recognize that each system, despite its strength, remains limited in its ability to address the root cause. Too often, they offer only fragmented or symptomatic relief, rather than actual true resolutions. Yeah. In response, he pioneered his own integrative methodology and approach that unites the strengths of diverse medical traditions. And his website is thetibb.com, Tibb.com. And this was going to be our guest today. We're just waiting for him to come on. Somebody asked a question that said, what do you do if your mother is involved in sorcery, sihr, and she consults magicians and stuff like that? That was the question. If you recite the awrad in the house, the shayateen and jinn that come to her will have a very hard time. If you recite awrad in the house, al-Wird al-Latif, Hizb al-Bahr, al-Ratib al-Shahir, Hizb al-Wiqaya of Ibn Arabi. Okay. What is al-Jailani's awrad called? Who here is a Qadiri? You're a Qadiri? You're not? Okay. What about you guys? What is al-Jailani's, what is it called? I can't remember, because we don't really recite it in al-Ba'alawi's tariqah, but it's known. Okay. It's known. Okay. All right, our guest is here. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum. Anyone? Okay. Talk to Alif for a little bit to adjust your camera so you could face directly to the camera, and then have make sure it's a direct angle, and then make sure the volume is up. Inshallah, the volume, so we can hear you properly.
Sure.
Okay. Because to be honest with you, I'm all about Tibb al-Nabawi, but all I know about it is take blackseed oil, take olive oil, and now our knowledge, inshallah, is going to go up a bit, or hopefully a lot bit. Because for me, Tibb al-Nabawi is eat vinegar, eat habbatus soda, take its oil, eat olive oil, rub it on your skin, right? That's Tibb al-Nabawi for me. All right. How's the camera angle like this, Alif? Could you bring it directly in front of you? It's still at an angle.
Yeah.
They're going to do it on their end. Inshallah.
Okay, 1 second. We have something here. Show us. Yeah.
Yesterday, Imam Safwan made his debut.
It's Tibb.
Muslima 54321. Are you blasting off or what? If we were 10 years ago, it'd be like a suicide. What are these awrad he's talking about? It's zikr. Well, that's what awrad is. Awrad al-ruqya al-shar'iyya is dhikr. And awrad is your daily protections. Al-Wird al-Latif, al-Ratib al-Shahir. It's all 100% based upon prophetic adhkar, which you can find in Kitab. They literally compiled it from Kitab al-Adhkar by Imam al-Nawawi. Kitab al-Adhkar by Imam al-Nawawi is maybe like this big, huh? Yeah, with the translation, it's like this thick. So different adhkar that can benefit us. Okay. Let's see who else was saying. Lily Archives saying I'm a relative noob, a revert. No, I didn't know Lily Archives is a revert. They've been here for last couple streams or more. First time to hear the term out Muslims. Will keep it in English. It's not my mother tongue though. Okay, so you must be talking about somebody else. I feel like I'm getting out Muslims with all these Arabic comments. Don't worry about that. You'll learn. Okay. Do we do this stream in front of an actual audience? Sometimes. Today we do. We have 6 brothers here alongside with Edif, and four of them are from Brooklyn. One of them is a local from Jersey and Ohio. What took you to Ohio? You used to be in Jersey, but work took you to Ohio. Wife? Oh, your parents moved to Ohio. Oh, so your whole family's from Ohio. Went to Ohio. MashaAllah, good. That's good. I thought maybe you met someone in Ohio and went. Okay. Someone with a what deng Kazelf says, dear brothers and sisters, please make dua for me. I want to marry a girl, but her father wants me to have my own place first, and it's hard to get a house in the Netherlands. If a man knows that his daughter can't live with other in-laws and she's going to have a hardship, then that sounds like a fair ask. Okay, we're ready to go?
Yeah, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream. Hakim, Shabaz, Ahmed. Please tell us, well, firstly, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, tell us about your training. How did you learn this information? First of all, I take it from England?
No, I'm originally from India.
India.
Yeah, I lived in the US for some time and then moved to Jordan.
So you live now in Jordan. So tell us,
Yeah.
how did you learn this ilm al-hikmah and this Tibb al-Nabawi?
Yeah, I had relations and communication with more than one Hakim in India. And again, the most important thing is, as they say, you are the greatest teacher in the field of your greatest suffering. And, I had quite a bit of health issues of my own. And that has taught me a lot. And over a period of time, I've seen the methodology of treatment were not ready to take on the complex chronic issues that are developing in the modern times because of various reasons. And I saw one methodology to be deficient in trying to tackle many of these baffling chronic conditions that are being diagnosed every single day. And I came up with my own methodology of treatment, of reviving, not as in I'm inventing anything, but returning back to the roots of how it was envisaged and how it was supposed to be practiced. And I created my own methodology, which I educate people on, and I hope to educate modern medical doctors to adopt that holistic methodology of treatment. And so anyways, it's a very loaded question. And how did you learn? And I wouldn't want to answer that personally, but I would answer that in general of how a peripheral knowledge is supposed to be learned, right? And one of the greatest wisdom of learning peripheral knowledge is found in the teachings of the awliya and the Sufiya. As Abu Hassan al-Shadili, he said, and this is not personal, I'm not talking about me, so just keep me humble. I'm answering your question in a general manner, okay? He said, أعرف الله وثم أفعل ما شئت. So he basically is teaching something which is elaborated by one of the hikmah of Ibn Ata'illah. And is beautiful, very fascinating. It is great wisdom for all the students of knowledge. He said, دل بوجود آثاره على وجود أسمائه ووجود أسمائه على ثبوت أوصافه وبثبوت أوصافه على وجود ذاته إذ محال أن يقوم الوصف بنفسه فالأرباب الجذب يكشف لهم عن كمال ذاته ثم يرد إلى شهود صفاته ثم يرجعهم إلى تعلق بأسمائه ثم يردهم إلى شهود آثاره والسالكون على عكس هذا.
Translation for those?
بداية مجذوبين وبداية المجذوبين نهاية السالكين ولكن لا بمعنى واحد فربما التقتا في الطريق هذا في ترقي وهذا في تدلي. So this is what the proper understanding of learning of knowledge and becoming a pillar of preservation of knowledge. This is what is called the arch of ascent and the arch of descent.
Can you translate that section on the asma and the sifat?
So he basically says that he pointed some of his people who are in the path of suluk to Allah from the athar, vestiges, and towards his names, and from his names towards his attributes, and from attributes towards his essence, towards his that. Because it is inconceivable that the attribute would exist by itself. Now he's just talking about the students of knowledge who's trying to move in the state of farq dhulmani towards the jama'. So this is where our ascent of acquiring knowledge and being and using that knowledge as a means of furthering one's cause. But what could happen is the student of knowledge get stuck in the technicalities and go horizontal instead of a vertical movement. And loses its path and the purpose of الشرف علمه شرف علم بشرف معلومه. So what the ulama taught is to learn as much as is sufficient for you to traverse in vertical direction. And when you reach it, then the path of descent is when you become eligible to become a pillar of support of the knowledge that you learned, because you're in the path on the arch of descent. And this is something that every student of knowledge should learn and understand that. And also you need to understand who to learn from, because if you learn from someone who's still also in the same arch of ascent, is not like learning from a person who's preserving their knowledge in the arch of descent. Is it clear?
That's clear.
Yeah. So this is what I have learned, and this is what I am trying, and that is the reason why I wanted to answer this question in a general manner, so that I do not attribute this to myself. So basically, the question is, the source of every peripheral knowledge is metaphysics. And this is how fiqh is a peripheral knowledge. And the fiqh derives its principles from realms higher than itself, which is the realm of haqa'iq. And it's a true reflection, and it descends from it, and it has the potency to take you back to it. So it's a two-way street and two-way dynamic process. And every peripheral knowledge should always understand that they only exist by the virtue of their support for the knowledge of Allah. And if not, they completely lose their raison d'etre to exist. They become like any science which is completely bereft of any meaning, whether it's tasawwuf, whether it's tafsir, whether it's fiqh, or whether it's medicine, right? So this is the introduction to the right place of what medicine should be doing, how it should derive its principles, and how it should further the cause, right? So if you really think about the concept of medicine and the three great world traditions of medicine, they never existed in isolation or in vacuum. If you really think about Chinese medicine, Chinese medicine had its underpinning in Taoist metaphysical tradition.
What is their metaphysical tradition?
The Taoism.
What do they believe?
Well, at the core of it, you have to always understand we differentiate, and I just want to give you a disclaimer. I hate perniless, okay? So, my
like
where
me.
I live. Yeah, that's great. So I can't do anything out of orthodoxy because my head gets chopped off because of who I am and where I live. So just to make sure that when I'm talking about this Taoist tradition and all that stuff, that I don't mean that I condone or I support and all that stuff. But the point we always have to understand that these traditions were once Tawhidi traditions, is way back before Islam. And they perhaps were instated and established by the prophets and the messengers. And so fundamentally, the metaphysics does not change. It's how they understand. So it's not, again, I just have to go ahead and redefine metaphysics of what I mean, but that would take us too far afield. But the important thing we have to understand, the point I'm trying to make is that medical traditions never, ever existed in vacuum. They existed under the umbrella of a metaphysical tradition and an ethical framework of Confucius framework. And medical tradition came as a supporting adjunct to make sure that a person is healthy, to be able to support them in their path to follow the religion, ultimately reach metaphysics, as in an experiential reality, not as in academic learning of metaphysics. So there's a difference. So what do they believe? They better believe in the same thing, because reality doesn't change, right? The sun is the same. It depends on where you see from New Jersey or Jordan. So the problem is not how they understand it now, but I'm talking about how it was understood when it was a Tawhidi real tradition, right? And they became completely waste. And I believe that there is no religion, no path to Allah except Islam and except the Islamic spirituality. That being clear, but we just have to accept that 140,000 messengers or prophets was sent before Islam. And you have to work as an archaeologist when you look at these traditions. These are, what you see right now is archaeological ruins. And a person, when he looks into it, he has to reimagine how it was envisaged and practiced, not as in what exists as of now.
Okay, let me ask a few quick, and let's get down to the practical.
Yeah, so let me complete the other two traditions so that we understand that even though these are different traditions, they had the same framework and very similar structure. So if you look at the Vedanta of the Indian metaphysics, Advaita Vedanta was the framework which was under which the Vedic tradition grew. And Ayurveda was a supplementary support, exactly like what the Chinese medical tradition was for the Confucius ethical framework. And if you look at the West, to the Unani tradition, the Greek tradition, was the Platonic and Neoplatonic framework, Hermetical tradition, whatever. So they had some form of a metaphysical understanding before Islam, and had some ethical framework later, which became Christianity, filled that gap, and then came the Unani medicine. You see the structure. So even though these traditions were completely different, but they were fulfilling something important, and they knew the place of a supplementary tradition as only as a supporting element to further the cause of humanity, of the human purpose.
So likewise here, I mean, people talk about fitness all the time, but what's the goal of all these gyms and stuff? It's shahawat and desires. That's why their goal of getting physically fit most of the time is to be better off in the marketplace of boyfriends and girlfriends and clubs and shahawat, desires. That's why that's actually infused in the gym. The outfits and stuff like that, the athleisure and all that stuff, and the filming it and all that, the shahawat is infused into the workout and into the fitness culture. Shahawat means desires, because that's actually their goal. Their goal is, we're getting fit in order to be, for most people, better at getting to your desires, right? Looking better at the beach, looking better at the club, etc. And that's where you're saying that metaphysics is so important to everything that you do. It's going to determine how, in what manner, to what degree you're doing what you do. So like right before he came on, I said, what is the purpose of health and physical health and financial health? Is so that when the time comes at the end of life and spiritual health, you're able to actually fulfill your spiritual goals and do this stuff with a sound body and enough money to do it. Like that's the goal and the purpose. So now I'd like to ask you, let's do, if you don't mind, we could do a little rapid fire, very short answers on practically how we can implement al-Tibb al-Nabawi. What is the number one first principle of al-Tibb al-Nabawi, prophetic medicine? What's the first principle?
Again, right? It's very difficult because what I deal in is a very serious subject. So the rapid fire is a bit difficult for me because it wouldn't do justice to the answer.
Okay, it doesn't have to be so rapid then.
Anyways, so the problem is that Islamic medicine or prophetic medicine, I would use it interchangeably because prophetic medicine is Islamic medicine, it's Qur'anic medicine. And the most important thing we have to understand is that man fasadat bidayatuhu fasadat nihayatuhu. Whose beginning is rotten, his end is rotten. Any framework that is founded on right foundations is what is going to provide you the right solutions and right medicine. And what is modern medicine? So we have to understand where we are underpinning our foundation. What is the ontological status of human being, right? Ontology is the study of the nature of being. But there is, so from where we have to understand what is the ontological status of human being in a medical framework, right? So this is something that we have to understand. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, He said, قَالَ يَا إِبْلِيسِ مَا مَنَعَكَ أَن تَسْجُدَ لِمَا خَلَقْتُ بِيَدَيَّ أَسْتَكْبَرْتَ أَمْ كُنْتَ مِنَ الْأَعْلِينَ. What is this? This is describing the ontological status of human being. It is describing the nobility and origin, noble origin of human being. So when a person is imbued with the understanding of his noble origin and his departure from it, he will go ahead and understand that he has a noble teleology and he would aspire for it. Now, in contrast, irrespective of who practices the modern medicine, whether it's a Muslim doctor or not, the very framework of modern medicine is essentially Darwinist. So their ontology does not go beyond material. So what Darwin presents is that there is nothing higher in human being than its material existence. Things simply emerged from nowhere, evolved and continued to evolve until the final stage of evolution was supposedly the monkey becoming a man. So what they are doing is what they believe who they are, monkey business. So what is Tibb al-Nabawi? Established on right foundations. So you cannot go ahead, and a lot of people say, how can I modify the modern medicine into Islamic? You can't do it. It is completely parallel, separate infrastructures and framework and different ontologies. So this is the problem. What we are suffering from is what is being practiced is Darwinist, essentially. Because why? I'm not making it up, because go ahead and look at the repertoire. They look at what are the treatments they have to offer. Physical medicine, biochemicals, and radiations and surgery, which is basically corroborates my point, because they consider human body, they reduce the human body. The extreme form of reductionism is to reduce a human being into human body. And then you going ahead and reducing a reality which is extremely great to a gross aspect of that reality and trying to fix it up. It's not going to work. So this is what is, we have to first of all understand that man fasadat bidayatuhu fasadat nihayatuhu. We need to first understand that what modern medicine is doing is something un-Islamic. It's not like, so I'm, inshallah, by the end I die, I would make the ulama to give fatwa, making the modern medicine either makruh or haram to practice or to use.
Okay. All right. Let's go down from the academic element of the ontology, the cosmology, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Sure.
Okay. Let's look at somebody who has a sickness. Let's hypothetically say somebody has MS, multiple
Sure.
sclerosis, or somebody's got sexual performance issues,
Sure.
ED. Okay. So
Sure.
how do you treat them?
So this is the thing, right? Returning back to something holistic. So when can we call something Islamic? Because it should have a similar characteristics of Islam. Islam is not fragmentation, you see, and probably you are much more knowledgeable than me, that Islam does not support the separation of church and the state. Why? Because it's holistic. It came in to guide human being, and every single discipline of human endeavor has to be informed by one single entity. And treat the whole of the world and all of its discipline that affect the human life should come from those principles. So Islam has never left any discipline as a secular discipline. And similarly, if you see an analogically correspondent principle in the realm of medicine, you have to treat the whole human being. So the reason why the diseases become chronic is because they continue to treat only an aspect, which is the grossest aspect of the human whole. So when you treat something called MS, we need to always first understand where did the MS come from. MS is a very problematic chronic disease. And it has its origin not only on the physical level, but on energetic level, on psychological level, on an emotional level, on a level of willpower, on the level of intellectuality and the level of spirituality. This is the human whole. And if you do not have a framework which looks at every department, so if you see these layers and if you see these different aspects of human or layers or whatever you want to call it, each one of it has sciences associated to it. And when you go ahead, you need to understand where the cracks are. So imagine a building. You have a 7-storied building. Let's imagine 7, 8, it does not matter. And this building is sitting there exposed to perpetual rainfall, has cracks from the top, cracks from the side, and the water is dripping from all different places, accumulating water from 5th floor to 6th floor, 7th floor, and finally gets accumulated on the ground floor. And ground floor is much closer to our experience as a human being. Even though these layers are a part of our existence,
Of course,
we are much more closer to our gross aspect. And that is the reason why when the disease occurs, it troubles us. It causes us dis-ease. It forces us to look at things deeper. Like, why did I have this? Why is it causing me disease? And you go to the doctor, and because the doctor is materialist, essentially, he's only going to look at your ground floor and he's going to give you a mop to soak in the water and drain into the kitchen sink and assume that the problem is gone. And you go back and sleep in another room and you come back and the water comes back. And this is what creates chronic disease. So we need to go ahead and traverse the trajectory of his medical history to figure out how did he get multiple sclerosis. It does not happen. Some of these life-threatening, complex, baffling situations for which modern medicine openly acknowledge, hands down, no solution.
I agree with the this analogy, and that modern medicine is just dealing with the symptoms and it fragments things. So you may not even agree with their diagnosis, right? You may have a total different diagnosis, but there is academia and theory. But in order to actually make it work in the real world, we have to also have a way to handle specifics. Because a guy's going to come up to you and say, listen, I got diabetes. I've been
Sure.
diagnosed with diabetes. I trust you more than I trust them. I got 20 minutes for an appointment. Give me guidance.
Yeah,
From
I
your
don't do this
perspective.
20-minute appointment. My least appointment is 1 hour. But anyways, the problem, again, the same thing I told you, that diabetes and all of these things have much deeper root causes that needs to be explored: physical, energetic, mental, psychological, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. And many a times, again, I'm not sure if you have looked at my profile. I have treated multiple sclerosis, and you can look at my testimonial. So the thing we have to always understand is that we need to go back and look at every single aspect, and then we have to design a personalized program for the person to see what physical issues. So multiple sclerosis can be caused by microbes, right? So the amyloid plaques and the thing that they attribute multiple sclerosis to, and the breaking down of myelin sheath on the nervous system, was actually a process of the body to protect the myelin sheath from the microbes. And they basically, the what you call that, the amyloid plaque is only a bystander, which was nabbed and put it in the prison. That's not the problem. The problem, the latest research is saying that the multiple sclerosis is caused by the toxins, and that basically the body's processes were trying to prevent the nerve damage from the heavy metals, from the microbes, from the toxins, and it basically created the amyloid plaque for the protection. But modern medicine looks at it as if amyloid plaque is the real cause of the problem. It's just a bystander. It's trying to help. So, well, we need to figure out what is the cause. Is it heavy metals? What kind of medications that the person took? And why did the toxins accumulated in his body? What are the things that he has done physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually that has made his system vulnerable to accumulation of toxins? And what kind of toxins is this? Is it mold? It is parasites? Are these worms? Are they heavy metals? Are they? So the thing is that easier said than done. We have this, precedent from coming from modern medicine as 20-minute appointment. It doesn't exist in holistic medicine. 20-minute appointment is grossly insufficient. I don't have an option. If you go back and if you wanted to go ahead and take an appointment, the least amount of time is 50 minutes appointment to 1 hour, 50 minutes appointment. So things are complex. For complex things, we need time, and it needs to be personalized. There is no such thing as automated, what you call the theory of automaton. Human beings are not automatons. They cannot be put under the assembly line as the cans of sardine to pack them up to provide the same customized solution. So we need to just completely change. It's a complete different change of paradigm. And a lot of people come to me and they want to collaborate. They say, how do we scale it? I say, it's a bad word. It's a ribawi system to scale things. Everything, this is the ghubar al-riba that we want to go ahead and apply to Islamic medicine. It doesn't work. It needs 1 hour, 50 minutes. You cannot scale it. You cannot just go ahead and create a canned program and say that I'm going to treat the patient as a assembly line, cans of beans and send them off so that I can actually treat, create 1,000 cans. This is the modern industrial attitude. Something precious, something noble, has to be individualized and
Yeah.
has to have time and understanding. And so every single again, multiple sclerosis also happens because of shock to the nervous system. And I've treated a lot of people. Their source was never physical. They started from a sudden shock that they experienced that sapped the nervous system and the nerves of its vitality. And then the microbes come and entered the nerves and caused multiple sclerosis. So without understanding the deeper aspects of human life, his experiences, understanding what kind of life he lived, we cannot answer that question. Right? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to change. So whenever you come to a new model, you cannot go ahead and compare this to another model or base your questions based on that foundation.
So
this is
I totally get that and agree with that, because when people convert, an entire family enters Islam, they need to understand the whole model operating system
100%.
is changed.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I do not follow. I just have to make this comment. I do not follow the the dawah and the guidance scene, the global in United States of America. But whatever I have seen, I have a great appreciation for what you do. And I really appreciate that you do not speak politically correct language.
Mm.
And that is the sign of sidq of a person. People pleasers are social media influencers. They are not ulama. Right? And I really appreciate what you're doing, and I wholeheartedly appreciate and regard you as one of the scholars.
I mean, may Allah accept from you and keep that and keep us sincere for His sake. Now, when you're one of the things that we're trying to do, as you're trying to do in medicine, what we're also trying to do for the mind is the whole operating system has to be altered. That life, it revolves around the Creator and is temporary, and every decision has to be made from that ground up, and from the fact that Allah is true, the Prophet is true, the Day of Judgment. This is why the Prophet always used to say this: Allah is true, I am true, the heaven is true, hell is true. He's saying that this is the origin of all decision making, and the operating system is that. Now, in order to also to bring something like that down to the grassroots level, so there also needs to be action points, little tiny action items. So it's like the opposite now. So in the same way that we want to address the leakage from the top of the roof, but also there needs to be an action point that people do repeatedly that sort of symbolizes that change and starts to make it a reality. So what are some of the little changes that people could do in their life that will start to slowly get this ball rolling and actualize the new operating system in a day-to-day routine?
Sure. The first thing you have to do is, like, you see the parallels between religion and medicine. Okay. You're seeing this is exactly like people say, oh, what is cosmology? This is cosmology. This is the analogical correspondent between two dimensions of reality. You see the pattern? So what is Islamic understanding of the practical thing that you're talking about? The first thing we have to always understand is the principle of fiqh. What is that? درء المفاسد مقدم على جلب المصالح. So the first thing a person can do is to learn about the harms of the daily medications or medicines that they are trying to do. That is something that I consider is the most harmful for the human life, that they have to come to terms with it that this is materialistic, Darwinistic, Cartesian science is not going to give you any benefit, rather will cause damage and problems to you and your children. Now, let me elaborate that with a very fascinating example. Okay, very, very important. We have to understand. We agree that akhlaq is essential for our path to Allah. Good character, which we call, is built on self-restraint. Do we agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
And good akhlaq is the essence of religion and the sunnah of the Prophet.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reason why we want our children and ourselves to learn good akhlaq, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that also means that we refrain from our odious character traits, bad character traits. That bad character traits risks our relationship with Allah and exposes us to His punishment. Is that exaggeration? Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Right. So now, taqwa. What is taqwa? Is God-conscious restraint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is choosing not to act on a harmful impulse, not to follow your hawa, right? Willful folly, because you know that you're accountable to Allah. Anger, what is it? At its extreme, it is loss of restraint. It's reckless behavior that reduces fear of consequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the ulama, they talked about nasiyah. And I live among a lot of people, scholar of Qur'anic exegesis. Nasiyah is what is translated as forelock. But some of the ulama have translated nasiyah as the executive function, as the function which lets you control yourself, make a decision, restrain yourself from doing something odious, have good akhlaq. Everything revolves around. So what is nasiyah? Nasiyah, basically, how did they come to it? Because nasiyah is a forelock, is in a fight. When you have the nasiyah of a person in your hand, you could control him. Right? So
this part, the nasiyah is this part, the hair
so
for here.
If you have the forelock of a person in your hand,
you control them.
You could just go ahead and control them. So now we understood this, how harmful it is not to have a good nasiyah, good executive control. Now look at a study that came out, and many studies that came out. I'm just giving an example on acetaminophen, Tylenol, paracetamol, right? It says 1 dose of paracetamol in healthy, strong adults increases the risk-taking behavior and reduces the sensitivity to danger.
Say it again.
It's not a small matter. The study, I'm reading you verbatim, study abstract. It says, it shows that acetaminophen, I can actually send you could put it on the link if
which
you,
is
if you post
Motrin, Advil, acetaminophen, Motrin, Advil,
everything,
Tylenol, all those things.
And everything increases the risk-taking behavior and reduces the sensitivity to danger in healthy adults. But if it is weak adults, diseased adults, or a person who's already dealing with chronic condition, the things could be worse. It's just a rational implication. So a person may do things he would normally hesitate to do. So you can imagine how many hundreds of millions of people are daily taking acetaminophen, and that is being transferred to the children through nursing. And now we are worried that our people are losing taqwa. People are doing reckless things. They don't care about the taqwa. They don't care about God-fearingness. They don't have good akhlaq. Who is to blame? What you cannot do as an alim is not understand the different dimensions. We cannot go ahead and go on the pulpit and give a harangue. And because the thing is that the guy is toxicated by something that going from this ear and coming out of this ear is not registering. You have to be merciful to these people. We have to understand that they need to take treatment. They need to detox their liver. Their mothers have fed them acetaminophen and caused this risk-taking behavior, made them susceptible to go against their nausea. Their nausea has become loose. And this is something that I'm trying to, so think about it, right? Mother is taking all her, teenage life. A lot of women have menstrual issues, and more people are having that during their early teenagers. She gets married, and all through those years, she has been taking acetaminophen. Her liver is, filled with some of these substances, not just acetaminophen. Ibuprofen does that. It has its own behavioral aspects, and there are double-blind placebo trials done on this. These are the studies on their own terms. I'm not just going ahead and using some, a metaphysical principle from the Tibb methodology. No, these are published in their own very prestigious journals.
Mm-hmm.
These studies. So what is happening is, this is what Prophet ﷺ's istinbat of his knowledge. He said, the paradise of a man is in the feet of his mother, meaning she can make his paradise or destroy his paradise. The science of epigenetics is a must for anybody getting married. Your parents and my parents are not questionable of what they did and how they affected you and me as a human being, from their lifestyle, from their behavior, from their emotional state or lifestyle. But that excuse is not there when the science of epigenetics has become a common knowledge. Well, I didn't know that. No, you have to know that. As a human being, as an ashraful makhluqat, as an adult, as an aqil, you must know what is harming you. And this is what the knowledge is. Otherwise, it's not like ignorance is bliss.
Mm-hmm.
It's only in certain cases, but what you don't know might as well hurt you. And it is hurting you. And you have to. Yeah.
How about this? This is a good question here. Every science has a philosophy, and it treats symptoms at the same time. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he came with a completely new operating system, but very quickly he also gave very simple remedies to cure what's the problem right now. Right? Like, for example, he said the stray dogs are a problem. They're spreading disease. Open pots are spreading disease. Okay. Close your windows. Okay. At night when you sleep. Lock your doors. Use the miswak. Wash your hands. Make istinja. So you see the beauty of the sunnah, and this is wahi. It came with very high level ideas and changes, but also very low ground maneuver things that people could do. So in the spirit of that, let's say, what would be the alternative to someone who just twisted their ankle and in severe pain?
Yeah. So
what's the alternative to, let's say,
names,
or someone with a headache? I have a headache.
Take willow bark.
Huh?
Willow bark is willow bark. Willow bark is something that's a pain reliever, and it works well for any type of moderate pains. But again, only if you have an acute problem. But if it's a chronic problem, if you have migraine and all that stuff, things are complex, right? So I completely understand what you're saying. And الصوفي يعطي كل ذي حق حقه. So we should have, we should speak on every level and every dimension. And that is the reason why I gave you a very concrete example of acetaminophen, and to try to tell people that do not take something without learning about it. And this is what I'm trying to do, is to raise awareness. Start with harms. The other type of harm that is most prevalent is genetically modified foods. Don't eat them. Don't touch them. They went out of the fitrah. They're unfitri foods. You cannot go ahead and modify something, right? And believe, because something which is outside of the fitrah is going to take you towards outside of your own fitrah. So this is something لَأَمُرَنَّهُمْ لَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقِ اللَّهِ.
So I'm looking here at the willow bark. Is this something that's readily available for people? And is it an oil or a pill?
No, just the powder. Just the powder.
Mix it in water?
No, the capsules, just take it down and drink the water.
Okay, so this is where
again, I have to take Sheikh Shadee. You have to understand this.
Yeah.
The thing is, pain is a medical philosophical enigma.
Mm-hmm.
Pain is not understood by modern medicine. All they do is block receptors.
Correct, yeah.
And they exactly don't know what causes pain. Pain is a very, very deep problematic thing. Yes, you can sprain your ankle, but how many times you have pain with sprained ankles? The origin of the pain is, again, multifaceted. It's very deep. And we have to always understand it has a relationship to the energy balance, a relationship to the chi, the sushumna, the latifa, all that stuff. And this deep, if I just talk about one single aspect, we would need like 8 hours of podcast, right? So, so again, I'm completely with you. I'm giving you the practical things to do. Don't eat vegetable oil. It's poison, right? Don't do anything manipulated by the human hand, which is hydrogenated vegetable oil, which they call it, the hydrogenated ghee or trans fat. These are the things that you have to protect yourself from. These are something which is plain, as everybody can do. Everybody knows, right?
What's okay, that's good. Now, you bring up the oil subject, which is a huge subject. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oil?
The oil subject, because oil, all the food that we eat is fried in oil, right? What's the what is the alternative?
The best oil, I personally think that people should use, is coconut oil. Coconut oil is on the top, and the second would be the grass-fed ghee or clarified butter. That comes the second, and then animal lard that people completely forgot.
Animal fat.
Animal fat. So you can just go ahead and take the fat, and of course it has to be grass-fed, right? It's not like you're going to go ahead and farm-raised, industrial-raised. The fat profile of a grain-fed animal is completely different from a grass-fed animal. So I cannot just go ahead and say, okay, go ahead and have ghee. But the ghee coming from the animal fat of a grass-fed animal is completely different. So this basically creates problem. And I'm very, very cautious of this, because people will hurt. And this is how, I was talking to someone. I have like a lot of patients and people also within our own group. And in one of the lectures, Sheikh Nuh was talking about that he eats like 2 tubs of yogurt a day.
A day?
Yeah. So I keep getting messages as soon as the lesson finishes. Like, he said that he eats like 2 tubs of yogurt. Can I go ahead and ask, like, why did you stop me from it? This is the problem. This is how the knowledge needs to be taken from the people who understand the qawl. On what platform that there was. So the person who told them that he eats 2 tubs of yogurt every day, he waits for the spring season, for the herbage to come. At the peak of that, he sends out people to get 300 to 400 liters of the most pristine farms available in the country, and the grass-fed season, packages them, freezes them, and keeps it and uses that for the whole year. And when you take his qawl, and without proper understanding of where is he getting that, how is he getting that, what are the different precautions, and what are the different things that he takes care of to get that, you just go ahead and go buy the store-bought 2 tubs of yogurt, you're going to die. And you're going to blame that person.
So fatwa. It's a fatwa.
Yes. This is the analogical correspondence between religion and medicine as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you go ahead and see somebody say something or the qawl, it is always from a certain foundational viewpoint, where likulli maqalin maqamun. If you don't understand the maqam of the maqal, you don't understand the maqal. So this is a very important point as showing you the cosmology in action.
Okay. With your,
I have to. No, I have to. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
My battery was running low. Yeah, go ahead.
So coconut oil, I guess canola oil is with the vegetable oil, correct?
Yeah, canola is all the things that they wanted to, they used to throw away. They devised a mechanism of how to make them profitable.
Talk to us about honey.
Honey is, again, very fascinating subject. And the way that honey is described in the Quran, and there is a reason for why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thought about it. He said, the honeys create this thing, and you will find them on the top of the hills and on the rooftops. And why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually describing, I thought about it. And I came to a conclusion of how in the later times, the bee farming will become a business.
Mm.
Right? The vitality of the bee in the wild is completely different from the vitality of a bee which is bought and sold as a commodity.
I see. When it's
Even
free
if it
versus
is,
trapped.
Free versus trapped, and happy versus traumatized. So the thing is that everything has to, and this is what I'm trying to do, and in a deeper way, in the things that we were trying to do is to raise awareness, is all of these questions will be addressed in depth. So the point is not to say that ghee is better or which kind of animal's fat is better. We need to understand how that animal was raised. Where is it coming from? Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that a lot of people become sensitive to. Whenever I say something about honey, especially the religious people, they become really angry about the thing. They have to understand that the fulcrum, the qutb of the Sharia and the maqasid is la darara wa la dirar.
Correct.
Right? The maqasid is hifz, But hifz comes only from protection from the dirar, and that is the reason why it's a higher principle.
It's a great
And
point.
so what?
We're harming the bees by trapping them in these little cages.
So when you're doing it, and it has become a commercial commodity that you are being bought and sold, then it has lost its vibrancy. So we need to come out of this thing about looking at material, look at the source and the vitality and how it lived and where is it getting from. And I kid you not, a lot of people come, and because of this kind of thing, they're losing trust in Islamic knowledge. They're gobbling down teaspoons of the honey, and they're saying the Quran said that it doesn't work. Have you ever had a hand-picked honey taken from a treetop, from a jungle? I kid you not, one single teaspoon will make you get up from the bed and start walking. So this is the problem. The problem is not that what is in the Quran is it the same thing as mentioned in the Quran?
That's a great point. It's a great point.
Right? So this is something that we have to always remind people, that when you look at it, it might look alike, but it's not the same thing.
Now, let me ask this now, because that leads to another subject, which is we're so living so deep and surrounded in so many layers by this satanic system that's altered everything that we do, because their metaphysics is profit. There's no metaphysics. It's purely materialist. It's profit and wealth with no ethics that has fulfilled Shaitan's threat against us, that we will alter the creation. He's altered so much to the point that we never see natural food anymore and have no access to it, and access to it is very expensive, which now leads to another problem, which is that if the right way becomes so out of reach to people, there's a fear that they check out, such that we have to do, looking at the origins. If I don't know if any of our food has good origins from top to bottom.
Especially true in America, because the America, somebody else, this is again how much insult the human intelligence has to go through before they wake up. The America is being ruled by corporates. They are not ruled by politicians, right? So they're just using politicians as a go-between to let them do what they want and change. The lawmakers are basically lawmakers for the corporates.
100%.
Right. So the thing, what you're saying is right, but again, there is no checkout. You have to check back in.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because the thing is that when you easily check out, is like committing suicide.
Yeah,
there's no easy way out. So this is I don't know if you read about one of these prisons in the hinterlands of America, I guess Alaska or some place, and this guy was in the prison, and there was nothing, no civilization about 300 miles anywhere around.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually broke the prison and came out and ran away. And it was so cold and he could not survive. And he basically went 50 kilometers and he has to run and knock on the prison and say, just please take me in because I'm going to die. So the problem is you have to struggle. Doing the right thing has become harder, but there is no way out.
Yep.
The problem is that when you go ahead and you check out and you go ahead and eat McDonald's and everything, you're going to be hit by something that will basically wake you up and you say, you know what, I will do it. I will spend all my salary. only to try to eat good food, and it is better for me than to lie in the bed for the rest of my life. So the thing is that I completely understand pragmatic aspect of this, but as the time is unfolding, as we getting closer and closer to the law of entropy is in action, and is getting worse as the time goes.
Yeah, somebody once asked me, what should I expect when I come back for dawah to do dawah? What knowledge is useful? What am I going to? I said 95% of the time you're going to be inflating lifeboats. You're not going to be taking people up mountains. You're going to be inflating lifeboats
Yeah, 100%.
to save people's iman. I feel like and just keep them in the community, keep Muslims in the community is a huge achievement. I feel like in eating well, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
The medicine
100%.
itself is corrupted. The honey itself has corrupt. The milk supposed to be we should be able to live off of milk by itself, no food, just milk as babies. 100%. You could probably survive 1 week on just milk, but the milk is corrupted.
Yeah, but one thing about America, you have to understand that America is a land where you have the worst of the worst and the best of the best.
Mm.
Okay, so keep that point in clear. So at the bottom, rock bottom, yes, there is something what the regular Joe Schmo uses, and whatever is the worst of the worst and the most problematic. But America also has opportunities. It's a bully, so basically it just gets the best of the world and imports it and sells it for arm and a leg. But you have to spend. If you don't spend it now, you will have to spend it in the hospitals. That's as simple as that. 100%. I like to be empathetic, but this is the reality. I have to speak the truth.
You know, colon cancer, the age keeps dipping.
Yeah, 100%.
Because of the junk that we're eating in our bodies, and we're sort of feeding it with the we're just feeding it with the pragmatics argument, right? Let me ask you about this. This is going to be very controversial for some people sitting here. Caffeine.
Yeah, 100%. Caffeine is the black poison. There is no controversy about it.
I don't know.
This is nonsense. And anybody who doesn't understand caffeine, he doesn't understand the time he's living in. Caffeine is the source of all the divorces that you see there.
The what?
Family.
Subhanallah.
The divorce rate.
Subhanallah. Explain.
And all kinds of different problems. The source of it is caffeine.
So explain.
Right? Coffee is black, and it will fill you with darkness.
Ajib.
Okay, this is what Nietzsche said. I don't agree with him in most of the things, but I think he said something very profound. Right? What we have to understand that our ability to handle stress is the health of adrenals.
Repeat.
The ability for us to handle stressful conditions and disliked and problematic situation to stay stable is proper regulation of HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis.
Okay.
All right. So when you go ahead and drink a cup of coffee, what you're doing is you are not feeding your horse, but you are beating it with the stick. You see my analogy?
Yes. Yeah.
So when you're going ahead and riding a horse, which is your body, you have two options. You give it enough rest, feed it with very nutritious food, and the food should provide you the substrate for you to create energy. And the horse is happy, lives longer, works better, and provides you longevity. Now, instead of that, you're not feeding the horse, you're not giving it rest, and only thing you have is a whip.
Correct.
And you're beating it up and making it work. And that is the reason why stimulants, first of all, ages you ungracefully.
Which one?
Well, any stimulant is
Stimulants.
looked down upon.
Correct. Yep.
Why? Because it is living your 120% today, and that 20% is coming from the other end that you do not see. Right? This is the reason. This is an Islamic principle.
Mm-hmm.
Longevity, and that is the reason why Islamic medicine hated stimulants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What is Islam? Islam is delayed gratification. Do you agree or not? The essence of Islam is delayed gratification. And if you are going ahead and burning your resources at a speed of 140, that 40 is going to come from somewhere else. And you're shortchanging your life. La darara wa la dirar. Anybody who doesn't understand the simple fact will have to go ahead and relearn his Islam and his knowledge. So the problem is, you go ahead and understand how the caffeine creates energy. Caffeine does not do anything except it breaks down the glycogen reserves by increasing cortisol in your body.
Mm. And it blocks it blocks the tired sensors.
No, there are two ways that caffeine works. I'm describing the first thing. The first thing is it is considered a toxin in the body. So whenever you ingest in your body a toxin, the stress level goes up in the body, and body basically creates cortisol, meaning stress hormone, to go ahead and detox it. So this process of detox indirectly increases your cortisol levels, and cortisol levels increases the sugar production from your glycogen reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So you have high amount of glucose coming from where? Not from outside, not from holistic nutritional things that you're eating. It is just breaking down your already existing reserves, your fat reserves, your protein reserves, and your glycogen reserves from your liver, and giving you a semblance of increased energy. That's the first thing. Right? So first of all, it's a toxin being cleaned up. In the process of cleaning up, stress hormones needs to be released, because cleanup is considered a stress in the body, because a detox procedure. And in that procedure, any stress means you need extra glucose so that you take care of the stressful condition. So that basically breaks down your sugar. That's the reason why you see a little bit of energy. And the second thing it does is whenever you spend your ATP is like 3 phosphate molecules attached to an adenosine molecule. Then when one phosphate molecule separates from the ATP, it converts it into ADP, which is the byproduct of energy production. When you have used up certain energy and you create this byproduct, this is called adenosine. So brain has adenosine receptors. And it goes and sits on these adenosine receptors, and when you start to nod off. What is the body telling you? Body is telling you to be in alignment with the nature. Body is saying that you need to rejuvenate yourself because you have accumulated too much of the byproduct of breaking down your ATP, and take a nap and rejuvenate. Do some qailula or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So caffeine is a adenosine antagonist. It's a neurotransmitter which is adenosine antagonist. So basically it's going to go and sit on the receptors and block the receptor from accepting adenosine. So you basically, your head is completely detached from the body. The body is saying signals that I am tired, and you are only masking it by blocking those receptors, not get the signal. This teaches you something really deep, very deep.
Mm-hmm.
What is Islam? Islam is holistic. It makes a human being whole. Do you agree with it?
Yes.
whole in every single way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, what is human being to begin with? What is the understanding of a human being? What is the this is something very fascinating I wanted to mention is the teleology of human being in the human disease, right? And
It
so
seems
what
like
is doing?
if I can interrupt with an analogy, seems like coffee is borrowing money and then paying for
borrowing
stuff.
money and not paying it, your
Yeah.
debt is going up and up.
Yep.
And you're not doing anything. And also, one thing that I have to always remind is that our ancestors, if they drank coffee, their vitality was much greater and their nervous system was much stable and they were able to handle and get away with it.
Ah, I
It's a
see.
very important point.
So that's
Okay,
why
so
in the past it was different effect than today.
100%. You
Great
have to
point.
have mujtahid. And that's the reason why you have to know the person. You cannot go ahead and read the books and get the knowledge.
Mm.
You see the analogical correspondence between medicine and this.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that we are not, a lot of people go ahead and take an offense. And they say, the Shadhilis invented the coffee, all this bluff, without understanding the deeper aspect of the thing.
The difference in the analogy.
Not the difference in the analogy. They're like, how you talking bad about coffee because the Sufis invented the coffee in so-and-so place and all that stuff, and they use it for the ibadah and all that stuff. So the problem is that you have to take the knowledge from the people of the time. You cannot live 500 years and take it as a precedent and go ahead and blindly follow what happened
in the past.
And still, like Shadhilis invented the coffee and all this. Like, I'm Shadhili where I live. I live in Jordan. So I went to the Shadhili master and I said, what should I answer to the people who said the Shadhilis invented coffee? He said, he showed me the shijra or the poster, the silsila poster. He said, none of these people that you see, the aqtab and the people in that poster were known to ritually drink coffee. He said, if somebody in some place, in some corner of the Shadhili branch has not become, anything sacred that to be followed as a rule, or it becomes, so it's not something that we have to always understand. And again, a very important point, I do not want to miss that.
Same concept,
So,
sorry to interrupt, in fiqh, same concept is that you have Maliki faqih in the beginning of the era, and 500 years later, or even 200 years later, total polar opposite fatwas on a subject. And if you looked at what they're answering in the context that they were answering, both are correct for their time.
Yes, 100%.
Now, a lot of people asking, what did you mean by that? It causes a breakup of relationships and divorce. You mean it's creating stress in the house?
Yeah. All right. So, as I said, I'll answer that, but there's one more important point I don't want to forget, because you lose the train of thought. Is what is it doing physically? You see something very fascinating. It's very fascinating. This is something that I wanted to demonstrate to your audience of how to look at the food substances through a metaphysical lens.
Mm-hmm.
To describe why, because when you go ahead and start to look and start to figure out things only on a material aspect, you will be confounded and you will be completely confused. And that is the reason why people need to learn to rise up, to look at something from a higher principle.
Mm-hmm.
If holistic or wholesomeness is returning the person back to oneness of all of his components and interconnection and communication of all of his organs as working as one. Can we call that wholesomeness?
No.
All of my aspects or parts are seamlessly interconnected.
That's wholesomeness.
And communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Right? At a certain subjective level, you can define it as wholesomeness, right? And for that matter, all my planes of existence are working as a whole.
Correct.
Right? Now, look at this. Coffee disconnects your head from your body, creating fragmentation, creating unwholesomeness. Give a fatwa on it.
No, you exited this the correct way to operate.
You fragmented a whole being. And anything that fragments a whole being brings about fragmentation. And what fragments on the physical level, fragments on the higher level. Because there is an analogical correspondence between nature and the realms. So if you disconnect and create unwholesomeness on the physical realm, it will create the disconnection at a higher level. So anyways, I will tell you how it brings about on a physiological level is whenever you are overstraining your adrenals, right? You're making the adrenals weak and you're creating an HPA axis imbalance, an HPA axis dysregulation. And that basically creates a weak HPA axis. What is hypothalamus? Hypothalamus is a component in the body which assesses the severity of danger. And with that, it signals the pituitary, which is the master endocrine gland operator, to inform the adrenals to produce stress hormones, depends on the severity, assessed by your hypothalamus. Now, if you go ahead and use this thing and overuse this thing, and you basically make it overwork, what is going to happen? You're going to weaken it up. And your sense of perception of danger will go ahead and get skewed. And you become cranky. You become frustrated easily. You become angry. So what is the cause of the divorce? The cause of the divorce is not having sabr, not having good akhlaq, not having good restraint. What acetaminophen does it through different pathways, coffee does it in a separate pathway, and brings about almost same result, because the strength of your adrenals is the strength of your fight and flight. If your ability to see fight and flight and handle fight and flight in a much more balanced manner, then of course you're going to get cranky. Of course you're going to go ahead and your metabolic system is going to go haywire. You're going to beat up your thing. So of course you're aging yourself, but you're also lost the capability to handle stress gracefully. And if you don't handle stress gracefully, every small thing that your spouse does will become a big issue, and off you go.
Same with chai and tea? Same with the caffeine of chai and tea, or is there a difference in the caffeines?
Well, the thing is that when something it's about caffeine, it depends on where you. So the only thing is the intensity. The coffee has much more of that, but caffeine is the same thing in a lower quantity. So you have to understand, when something is proven to cause imbalance, if anybody is conscientious person, he needs to learn. If he does not know how to learn, he should ask someone. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So I'm showing you Islamic medicine. I'm showing you prophetic medicine. Prophetic medicine is not in pumpkin with dates and all that. Yes, that is peripheral. But all these principles that I'm talking about is prophetic principles. and on which is laid my methodology of treatment. And I'm doing a istinbat of looking at coffee. And this is what I'm trying to show you, that this is what I mean by Islamic medicine revival with the underpinning of deepest principles, which is lying around, which nobody actually figured out to put it in a framework, right? So if you look at Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya, who wrote the book on Tibb, and if you see the book on Jalaluddin Suyuti, there are only two classical books written on Tibb with that name. And there is one written by Abu Zayd al-Balkhi and one by Ibn Sina. Those books have become completely unusable, vague, because those methodologies have been completely misunderstood, and they talk about things which people cannot make head and tail of. But Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya and Jalaluddin Suyuti, they were muhaddithin. They were not the hukama. So they looked at Tibb Nabawi from the hadith point of view and gathered the hadith which talked about the medical aspects of things. And sometimes they simply copied the 4-element theory of 4 humors from the Greek methodology and copy-pasted it. So it was no profound medical framework that has been created. Mm-hmm. And I do not find a contemporary scholar or a doctor who has done any significant work on trying to really establish a framework. No. So the point is, establishing of the framework has to be done with the knowledge of modern medicine. Otherwise, your science will become defunct. Exact same thing with fiqh.
Yep.
The knowledge has to incorporate the latest and the greatest of what is available here, and how you go ahead and bring it into your umbrella and remove its harm and take its benefit. So this is what is called revival of the science. Otherwise, the science will become a defunct science.
Correct.
It's halted, it's dead.
Correct.
And this is what happened to the Ayurvedic medicine. This is what has happened to the Tibb Nabawi. It needs revival. It needs revival, challenging the secular framework head on, and to show their fallacies in their own arena, entering their own arena and speaking their own language, but bringing in. So the thing is that we are not anti-science. Science is sacred. Try to understand that. So let not anybody think that we are against science. Science is very sacred because science provides an insight. It's a study of the nature, how the nature works. So any information which provides us insight has to be respected. Otherwise, you're not respecting nature. You're not respecting fitra. You're not respecting the knowledge itself. But science should be placed and positioned as a slave of the higher principles.
I have a question for you. When you said to revive a knowledge, you have to employ the best of what the current model of or the scientific research has produced.
Sure.
What is the best? What is the cream of the crop that you would take from contemporary and modern science and scientific research?
I just demonstrated to you. Understanding of how coffee brings about results.
So that kind of research, I see.
So what I did, the best of the best, the neurotransmitter as neuroscience of how a molecule would go ahead and act as a adenosine antagonist, and looking at through the view of metaphysics, of trying to understand how it is causing unwholesomeness in the body, and the definition of wholesomeness is being broken by the modern thing. So you're interpreting the modern research through the lens, and finally giving a judgment that this is black and it will fill you with darkness.
So then ultimately recognizing the value of the chemistry, the research and really development of the science of chemistry. Okay, I get you now. Talk to us about hunger, autophagy, and going long hours without food. Is it beneficial and is it not? Or is it not?
Yeah. So again, right? This is something that we need to always, as I told you, right? One of the reasons why I said that I appreciate your work is because you don't speak politically correct language, right? We shouldn't. So the thing we have to understand is that many of the questions that are asked and answered are asked and answered on incorrect foundations. So it is not right to accept the questioner's foundation and answer.
Correct.
Right? And this is why the subject of Kalam has multi-volume books.
Correct.
Right? Because somebody asks a question on a subjective foundation, and off you go on a branch and branch and branch, and you produce a 50-volume thing. All that has is just some kind of things is not going to actually benefit anybody. So anyway, the problem is the same question what you ask is found in another realm. People say, if not coffee, then what should I drink? Why should you drink? So where is the fiqh coming? Where is the ruling coming from?
They got their assumption that energy has to come from the outside in.
100%. So the thing is that it's a wrong assumption. This is the plague of the modern time. They ask question on an incorrect foundation, and people accept that foundation and answer that question and never ever come to a conclusion, and then come out as agree to disagree as if they're being very magnanimous.
Yeah.
Complete stupidity. Oh, I'm too expansive, and I'm too magnanimous to accept your viewpoint and let you disagree with me. Yes, you will never be able to agree on anything because you don't have a right foundation to begin with. This is the plague of every argument in the West. Right? So this is the problem. The problem is, go back to the roots. Allah provided the roots. He said, وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. If your naum, if your sleep is not giving you what it's supposed to do, subat, a lull for rejuvenation, then there is something fundamentally wrong that you're masking by taking anything. If not coffee, do something else. That is wrong. That is not holistic. That is not proper. That is not Qur'anic Tibb.
How should people sleep?
How should people sleep? They should shut down the lights and screens, which I'm not doing because I'm talking to you generally. I would switch it off. And the first thing you have to do is when it's Maghrib, then shut off your phones. Why? Because your melatonin production will significantly get reduced if you basically looking at the light, because you're giving wrong signals to your retina that gives a signal not to produce proper amounts of melatonin to let you sleep. And that's the reason why you're not sleeping. Because you're not sleeping, you're groggy, and you're groggy, then you're going to go ahead and need for a coffee. The problem is essentially wrong. Yep. Fundamentally wrong. So the problem of autophagy takes the same ruling. Autophagy is not for everyone. Autophagy is for the people who are able to handle the stress of hunger and then use it under the hormetic window and make it into a source of increase, not a source of trauma. So autophagy should not be taken as a general rule. Now, most of our ancestors lived on autophagy and lived on beta oxidation because they only ate when they got the food.
Yeah, they didn't have a choice.
They didn't have a choice, and they did not get habituated to these 3 meals a day.
Yep.
So now the thing is that you are conditioned to something which your ancestors were conditioned to something else. They were never stressed because they are not getting a meal for 2 days.
Yep.
And that is the reason why when they released their process of autophagy, it was working for them, not against them.
Mm.
And their regulation of their metabolism was driven by the thyroid, not adrenals.
Mm.
So this is too complex, but the problem is that, again, fundamentally the foundational understanding or answer, I cannot answer that question because autophagy depends on who you are. And autophagy, for me to make it work in you, I need to condition you to it.
Little by
before
little.
you can go and benefit from autophagy.
Like as in little by little.
Little by little. So I need to go ahead and make you habituated to experience hunger and not go into stress
Correct.
mode.
I see.
Because if you go ahead and experience hunger, the first pang of hunger releases your adrenal axis.
It's bad for
You're
you.
gone.
It's bad.
It's bad for you. It's bad for you. It's going to go ahead and create oxidative stress, and your autophagy is going to work against you, not for you.
Yeah, so you're just going to release cortisol and become upset and stressed, and body will shut down.
And all that stuff, and you're going to fight with your wife and have a big fight, and she's going to go to her in-laws.
So then in that case, you have to start with 14 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours, 14, little by little.
Each person has to develop his capacity to develop autophagy and apoptosis together, because autophagy and apoptosis are supporting a concept.
I love this concept that your body will just start using all the bad cells in it, and all the junky food that we've eaten in the past will be cleaned up and then used for energy. I love this concept.
Again, 100%, right? But under the supervision of somebody who knows what he's doing. This whole DIV, this Instagram, the things, people might harm themselves because they need to know where they stand, how to use it, what to do it. But again, what is going to happen if you try to do autophagy on your own, you might be doing gluconeogenesis.
What is that?
Gluconeogenesis is where your body is breaking down your own lean mass muscle to produce the energy if you're trying to do autophagy.
Wouldn't it break down muscle at the end after the fats and stuff?
No. As soon as you stress mode, it's going to go on war footing basis. It's not gonna go ahead and calibrate and say, now I have to do and streamline all this. That's the job of thyroid. Cortisol doesn't do it.
So you're saying that it really, a person should stop the moment he really starts getting stressed by it and he's breaking down from it.
Yeah. But again, the thing is that he has to do certain things. There is a way, there is a procedure for people to be able to handle. That is basically saying that I want to fine tune your metabolism. Mm-hmm. Right? So you need an expert to go ahead and fine tune you, who knows the right principle, and then you can benefit from that. I love apoptosis. I love autophagy. I love all that stuff. I love fasting. I love hunger. Hunger is one of the greatest medicine. But people need to be conditioned. They need to have a psychotherapy to be done on them to know how to interpret hunger pangs, because those will become a stress trigger.
Yep.
So this is what I'm introducing to you as a holistic science, as an integrative medicine of using psychotherapy, using neural retraining, using energy balance, using emotional work, using intellectual regrounding, using spirituality as a holistic system to go ahead and provide healing to the human being.
You can't give the same marriage advice to everybody. You can't give the same eating advice to everybody. Talk to me about water.
Water is the source of life.
Japanese water therapy for healing a lot of sicknesses.
Yeah, those are isolated junk, just the fads. And if some of these things have to be used, they have to be used in an integrative manner with other things, right? So if anybody wants to know about, really want to read about water and its importance to human health, read Gerald Pollack's work called The Fourth Phase of Water. Extremely insightful book on the work of water or the structured water in the human life. It will completely change the way the textbooks of cardiology is written.
What's this? Give us a sneak peek inside of it. What's the theory all about?
So he's basically saying that water doesn't have three phases, meaning the liquid and vapor and solid, meaning ice, water, and what do you call that? Gas. But he says that there is a phase which is called easy water, a structured phase, which is created on the endothelial tissue of the vasculature through which the blood flows. And because of the electric gradient created between the blood and the water, makes the water move as a self-energizing system. So he completely destroys the very concept of heart as a pump and vasculature as a pipe. Right? So basically he's saying that, listen, it is just, this something like so, this is what one of the historians, he said, that I have seen people who are conquered, and I've seen people who are conquerors. And he said the people who are conquered will become so mesmerized with the habits and methods and in ways of their conquerors that they lose the distinction of the rational and irrational of their colonial masters.
Yep. They just imitate.
So a 1 watt, 1.5 watt machine is pumping the blood through 80,000 kilometers of pathways, where the pathways are so tiny that the red blood cell has to bend itself, deform, and pass through the capillaries, generating immense amount of pressure. And a 1.5 watt power machine, you're expecting it against the gravity to push the blood into 80,000 miles. 80,000 miles.
Crazy.
Of vasculature. Cardiology needs to be re-returned. Even on the plane of completely physiological and completely materialistic understanding. It cannot, and the blood is very sticky. It's very viscous substance. And you're expecting that kind of thing to go through and return back after stopping. It stops at capillaries. Capillaries are where the venules meet the arterioles.
And then they come back.
So it actually goes and actually stops. The whole of the blood movement really stops, because at the capillary, if it does not stop, then the whole purpose of blood is gone. Blood is taking all your nutrients and oxygen and stopping at the capillary, where the exchange is happening, where the perfusion is happening, fulfilling the very purpose of blood movement, and then returning. So where should the pump should be placed? Pump should be placed at the capillaries, right?
Makes sense, because that's where it's going back.
Is when them is going and also going back against the thing. So they have an explanation, but that explanation is completely rejected. And Gerald Pollack has completely, but the problem is, and now they have in new just completely materialistic cardiology, they have a concept of glycocalyx. There is a new discovery of a concept of glycocalyx, which is parallel or could be used. But the modern medicine accept glycocalyx, but it basically junks Gerald Pollack's theory of understanding because it's too mystical for them.
Is this why tapping in the morning wakes you up, because you're stimulating the capillaries to send the blood back?
Yeah, it just basically balances your energy, just shocks you up and makes you feel yourself more and as a whole.
So regarding this blood, what would be your advice as a general, wird al-am, general wird that is applicable to everybody, or a general hukum that's applicable to everybody regarding the drinking of water?
Drinking of water, don't drink water in plastic, and as much as possible.
What about plastic straw?
It's the same thing. It's less harmful because sometimes these straws are made out of really low quality plastics, so I don't like that. But in general, I don't want to promote these products. I don't like it. But drink the water in glass bottles. And if you are able to get some spring water, I know it's expensive, but I can't afford myself. I'm giving you advice, but
what about metal bottles?
Yeah, good. Stainless steel, high quality stainless steel. Just keep it in there, and use it some kind of good quality filter, and then go ahead and use it.
Is there a catch-all for how much water a person needs? Because, I mean, people today are walking around. Soon I'm going to see people rolling their water bottles because the bottles keep getting bigger and bigger. And I start to think, how did people live in the deserts back in the day?
Yeah, so those studies are being funded and promoted and normalized by the companies who own water bottles, things. So don't worry about it. Each person is different, and if you feel thirsty, you have a barometer already inside you will tell you that you need water. And if you feel thirsty, just go ahead and eat, satiate. Don't overdo yourself. There is no normal for anybody. Each human being is separate. Each person is unique, and each person's need of water is very, very unique. And we cannot generalize this, X number of cups of water, like you need to do all that stuff. Is just the automaton theory applied to human beings.
Correct. So that is a big theme that you have brought up a number of times, that the just like in fiqh, the fatwa has to be catered to this situation. And
100%.
Even more than that, each human being himself, each person himself has his own dietary needs, which is going to be different from somebody else's, which is why.
Yes, and also it's not about the fatwa itself, but who gives the fatwa, right? One thing that I actually started my journey on learning religion, and of course I studied religion for 20 years, never taught people, and of course I'm a student of knowledge for 20 years. I learned deen or one thing that fascinated me was Imam Shatibi's book on maqasid. And he basically mentions at the end of the book, he said that I had a lot more to say, but I do not want to say because people will misunderstand me. But he left with something very fascinating. He said, he quoted in hadith, I don't know, it's not important whether this hadith is what kind of authentication it has, but he was making a very important point. He said Ibn Umar was sitting with his companions, and a person comes in, and he said, is there forgiveness for a murder? And he looked at him and he said, no, Jahannam.
SubhanAllah.
And he left. And all of these his companions, of course, they were great scholars themselves because they're sitting in the company of him. And he said, what have you done? Where did you get this from? Like, you making it up? Is there Nabuwa after? Is there revelation?
You're saying something wrong. Yeah.
What are you doing? He said, I saw the fire of vengeance in his eyes. If I gave him a different answer, he would go murder someone. This is not just about the fatwa, it's about someone who has something beyond rote learning.
Yep.
To give, you can go ahead and give a general understanding of something, but actually guiding a human being, it's something. Again, we just talking about this arch of ascent and arch of descent, and understanding that. Anyways, I think we are just closing up to the 2-hour mark.
What time is it where you are? I feel like we're abusing you here.
Yeah, it's close to 11.
Okay, final question.
Sure.
Al-Habbatu Sauda, the black seed.
Yeah, great thing. One of the greatest anti-inflammatory compounds in all of the known anti-inflammatory pharmacology, natural pharmacology.
Can it heal scar tissue on the skin? If someone has a scar, sometimes the scar is even now can it heal that?
Yeah, it could, but it is better to use with something and use at certain time. And again, it's not going to hurt you. It might benefit, and you can use it. And even if you use it as a sunnah, you're going to benefit from it. A natural thing like it, and especially highly praised by the Prophet, if it's the real thing, you can close your eyes and do it. And inshallah, it will only be a benefit.
Oil or seed?
Depends. Oil is much better if it is much more stronger, and seed is much more milder because you're only taking less concentrated stuff. So depends on what you're using it for, but this is something can be used. You can just chew the seeds, and you can also use the oil. The oil is more concentrated and more powerful, and also because it's an oil, it works much better. And you can also use the oil mixed it with other substances to potentiate it. And depends on the condition of the person. But beautiful thing, amazing.
When is your course coming up?
12th of April.
April 12th, online course.
Yeah, sure.
Online, Elephant, please put the link in. Online course, kiflain.com, and there's a discount code. Safina 2026 is a discount code. Start getting educated and spread this. I think you took you definitely developed our knowledge of, I'm always talking about health and sunnah food, sunnah habits, but I'm also I'm also like an armchair, when people talk about fiqh because they read a couple books. That's me when it comes to this. But I think we give us a lot more insight and depth in terms of this. So everyone's got the link in the chat. Eddie, you put the link Kiflain, and it's Vehicle to the Divine series, Transforming the Health of Our Families, Body, Mind, and Soul. Do you have a book?
Yeah, it's coming, inshallah.
Inshallah, good.
So the thing that I'm trying to do, inshallah, make dua, inshallah, is reviving and giving the traditional sciences is due respect, and showing the superficiality of secular sciences. This is something that needs to be done in every discipline. And this is a model that I'm trying to show. That what we need, if you want people to accept Sharia-based this and Sharia-based that, there's too much talk about Sharia law and Sharia law. We have to understand the inherent vulnerability of attachment to material in the human hearts. Is conditioned in our endocrine glands from the time of Adam alayhi salam, who gave a knee-jerk reaction to go went and eat the fruit that he was not supposed to. So we have to understand that we are human beings and we are vulnerable to the same vulnerability of attachment to material because it's a survival overdrive.
Correct.
When you go ahead and try to say this is Islamic law, you need to prove it to them and calm their nervous circuitry down. Islamic medicine, what you have to do, theory is not enough. You can go ahead and talk too many things. You need theory, a parallel, clear alternative which directly challenges and shows the superiority of your system.
Correct.
Which eats up and destroys by gobbling it up what is available. It should not leave its trace. You know what that game it gobbles
Pac-Man.
up. Pac-Man. It should be a Pac-Man. It should prove to be a Pac-Man. It should demonstrate that Pac-manship through results. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm showing a model in a peripheral science, how that peripheral discipline can be accepted by Muslims and non-Muslims to take different steps to finally bring that discipline under the umbrella of what is considered orthodox Islamic results. And that's the reason why I flooded my website with results, with real people, with real testimonials of people who have been diagnosed as incurable.
Subhanallah.
Hands up, hands down.
Subhanallah.
So this is how the change has to come bottom up. The change cannot come top down.
Yep.
Ulama cannot just get on the member and say, you know what, let's do this. No, you can't. You can't even convince the Muslims, let alone non-Muslims. Go ahead, tell a few Muslims that let's do Sharia law. They're going to just go ahead and report you to FBI or something. This guy is talking crazy and he's going to, no. You have to demonstrate to them, calm their neural circuitry down, calm their conditioning that's coming from Adam alayhi salam. It's not very easy to, you have to show the viable solution, practical solution with results, do the groundwork and gain the confidence of the people. Believe me, they will accept Sharia law.
It really should not be even said the word law, because law gives the mind a court
I'm
system.
saying that anything Sharia, because the thing is that you have to, you see after the industrialization and the Reformation, all of the disciplines have gone outside of any religious framework.
Yep.
And that is causing extreme suffering to humankind.
Yep.
And it is our responsibility to push that current back. Right? Law of entropy is in motion. We cannot go ahead and reverse that flow, but it is our 2 cents that we have to put down to tell Allah that I have done my work.
Wonderful.
Right? So we have to understand there is no yes. We have to challenge, and they are, the shaitan's trick is like the web of a spider. It can be easily broken down.
Yeah.
Right? But right people, right methodology, right principles, orthodoxy. Orthodoxy basically means right thing to do. Orthogonal angle is like 90 degrees, right? Right thing to do. And anybody who's supporting directly or indirectly anything unorthodox is not eligible, and he should not be called Muslim or Islamic or anything. He's not eligible or have any right to be a scholar or a guide to anyone.
100%.
Okay, so orthodoxy basically means, oh no, orthodoxy is, you can just go ahead and do something unorthodox. No, because it's not right. If it's not right, it's not going to give you a solution.
Correct. Yep.
Man fasadat bidayatuhu fasadat nihayatuhu.
100%.
So it's not going to work. Don't do it. Don't follow it. Right? So anyways, I am, because the thing is that the potency the orthodoxy has is not found anywhere else. So you don't have to actually go outside the orthodoxy to get anything. You're not going to get anything except misguidance.
100%.
Except getting out of the way. And they don't have any understanding of what orthodoxy is. It's a true reflection on a subjective realm, a true analogically correspondent principle manifesting at a lower level of the higher realities. And if not for that, then that principle is screwed up, and it's not going to ever give you, because it's going to lead you to misguidance. Right? So this is something we have to understand. And again, last thing that I wanted to share with you is, like we have ontology of human being. We talked about ontology and teleology of human being. We have ontology and teleology of disease. Disease is doing something. And unless and until we make a person understand the ontology and teleology of the disease, in his case, we have not done our job.
I don't like this idea of people talking like, I'm going to fight cancer. Okay, you're lucky you have cancer. You'd be dead because it's telling you there's something wrong. It's not your enemy trying to kill you. It's telling you something wrong.
So when you start with negativity, you're only going to get negativity.
Yeah.
The disease is an inherent existential state of human soul. This is the right Islamic ontology of disease. All right. Who describes most beautifully the ontology of the disease? You know who?
Who?
Jalaluddin Rumi.
How?
In the start of his book, al-Mathnawi al-Ma'nawi, he said, listen to the reed flute, how it complains, lamenting its banishment from its home. Ever since they tore me from my reed bed, my sorrowful notes have moved men and women to tears. I burst my breast, flute. Right? Look at the use of imagination. I burst my breast, striving to give vent to sighs. and to express the pangs of my yearning for my home. My wailing is heard in every throng, in concert with them that rejoice and them that weep. Each interprets my notes in harmony with their own feeling. But not one fathoms the secret of my heart. This is the ontology of disease. And it's inherent to human soul. And it's crying and it's suffering. And our very existence is a suffering. And what disease does is expedites your healing. It makes you confront your inner suffering much faster.
SubhanAllah.
Disease is the cure.
It's the beginning of the cure. Attention.
Beginning.
It forces you to give attention.
Making you confront, come face to face with reality. Right? Why? Because there will be more suffering if not that you confront. And how many people that disease have cured them? Shall I leave it at that, inshallah? Beautiful talking to you, Sayyidi Shadee.
Likewise.
Inshallah.
I really loved it. You taught us a lot, and inshallah won't be the last time you come on. Bidnillah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feekum. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, this is worth our time, and I want to ask actually, who out there probably online sells wild honey, wild bee honey? Because a lot of us get this stuff from the supermarket. And if it could make a 2% difference, that this industrialized bee in a cage type of thing may actually produce an inferior honey. We're looking for an edge, 1% here, 2% there. So this idea of wild honey, wild caught honey, put it in the chat if you ever come upon this, because we're all talking about honey, but which honey? Honey can be corrupted too. All the animals that we eat, unfortunately, they're all cortisol-filled, stressed-out animals because we're not letting them be free. Something about the European civilization wants to dominate over nature. I don't understand. They're constantly fighting nature in their history. In their religion, they fight nature by telling a man he cannot marry if he wants to be a priest, and a woman to be a nun she cannot marry. You're going against nature. In your theology, you're going against the nature of things needing to make sense. You can't tell me there's three essences and it's also one essence. And the moment you tell me that, you're basically making a statement saying, break your intellect, it's not really important. In the most important thing of who made us, the God that we have to worship. When industrialization comes along, it makes things 10 times worse, and it's constantly at war with nature. And it's indulgent in its nature. All right, I can scale this up and I can make a machine that makes 40 garbs a day. Whereas it took a merchant or a craftsman to make, in a year, he'll make 40 garbs. Or in a month, he'll make 40 garbs and sell it and live normally, and we have balance in society. Now a guy comes in industrialization, I want to make a machine, I want to sell 40. Well, why? Nothing's enough. It's not enough. It's just constant greed. It's one reason people say, oh, why didn't the Islamic civilization produce industrialization? Maybe the motive wasn't there for the Muslims. The Muslim merchant, when he has enough and a good amount of profit, he shuts down his shop and lets his brother make some money. We're good enough. This is, yeah, we want to be wealthy, but there is a point where this is enough. I'm good with this. Let other people make some money. So industrialization made things far worse, and now we're literally in complete negation of nature. Everything's in a negation of nature. So, honey, again, send it out, and don't just send it here anytime that you get one of these wilds caught, I'm sure we could take 2 seconds to look it up on the internet, but this wild bee honey. Okay. And so Kareem Jamali says they usually feed it with sugar, whereas wild honeybees don't use any artificial sugar. That's a big difference. So I guess you can call it, just another human says, just call it raw honey, straight from the beehive, not this mass-produced operation. And when it comes to the caffeine, we can all, if you notice, many times he said you have to be able to monitor yourself. You got to monitor yourself when something that you're doing is actually kicking off stress. So, for example, what he talked about, the staying up at night, you're stressing yourself out, you're flipping nature. You're taking caffeine to the point that you're overdriving yourself and you're releasing cortisol and stressing yourself out. Hunger can be misused and stressing yourself out. Exercising and working out, once it gets not fun, right? Once it gets to the point that I'm actually unnaturally stressing myself out, it should be avoided, right? That's when you know to stop. And then you slowly grow. You slowly, same thing with anything, really, with religion. If you don't go in a natural, organic way that is making you feel better, I'm getting better and I'm enjoying this, I'm loving this, then you're going to be upset. You're just going to hit a wall and you're going to hate the whole thing. And you're going to find your intention skewed to competition. That's what we're working at. So it's really Sharia life. The orbit. I love the idea of the orbit. Kullum fi falakin yasbahun. The orbit that Allah put us in. The state of nature. And kullun fi falakin yasbahun, it's orbital. It's an orbital phrase. Kaf at the end, at the beginning, kaf at the end. Lam comes next. Lam is second to last. Fa comes next. Fa is third to last. Right? And then the ya is in the middle. And the ya is a letter that can be split into two. Right? It's a letter with two dots. So even that is a letter that is has both sides to it. You can split that in half. Okay. Kullun fi falakin. It's an orbit. It actually mimics the orbits of Allah's creation. So the stars and the sun are moving in orbits, and the moon and the planets. The cells, the molecules are moving in orbits with nucleus in the middle, protons and electrons around. And that seems to be the way of creation. The sunnah of the khalq is something in the middle and everything revolving around it. You go to a company, it's the same thing. Like administratively, it's the same thing. A company is like a reverse of a tree or something, or you could say that it's orbital, revolves around one person, and then the VPs, and then everyone revolves around them, and then so on and so forth. Or a military. Okay, let's look. I sell Sidra, Sumra, and Sal from Al Bayt and Tarim, says Amir. What's your company, Amir? Please put it out there. He says you have to email him. But this has got to be part of life for us. This live stream, we're trying to live right. And all of this is one. It's all one. Deen, Aqidah, health, finance, marriage, relationships, friendships, it's all one. Speak. Mic on, please. He'll turn it on for you. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Speak, young man.
I just wanted to ask, like, to elaborate about it with don't drink it at all, or your body shouldn't rely on it.
No, I think whenever we say prohibit, don't do something in terms of health versus Sharia, it's like a 90-10. Whereas Sharia, haram, is 0 completely. But when people, I would assume, when they say don't do this, okay, cut this out, what they mean by it from a health perspective is like 90% of the time. That's how it's, because there are times where these rules may be not possible to follow. So I think if you wake up and the first thing you think about is getting caffeine, then we're in a grasp. If we're drinking caffeine to the point that we can't sleep at night, we're in the grasp, right? We're in a vice grip. These are all bad signs. And I think those are the bad signs, right? Those are the ways we have to avoid it. We're drinking caffeine, but we're not exercising. How are we asleep? The hardest thing is shutting down at Maghrib. It seems like Maghrib comes in at 7:30. Let's say you start toning it down. Nobody tones down at 7:30. Stuff starts at 8 o'clock. Stuff starts at 7:30, right? That's the problem with the modern life that we have to. But he said, look, that was a great analogy. A guy he escapes prison in the winter, right? And he doesn't find anything. He's got to go back. We can't be like that. We have to be people who are escaping into something. So you have to create an alternative. You got to escape into the spring, not into the winter. We got to create an alternative. So every time you say to someone, you can't do this, you have to replace it. Well, what should I do? Right? And to what degree to make this practical? I think if you do something good 5 out of 7 times in the week, right? You sleep well 5 out of 7 times. That's great, because we're now sleeping badly mostly 7 out of 7 times. We just got to keep struggling with this little by little. It's literally little tweaks at a time. And then I liked the strength and power which he spoke, where certain things we're not compromising on. Like, I can't compromise and tell you, yeah, let's just fudge it because we're in modern times for practical purposes, because he's going based on a principle. If he knows this is bad for you, I can't compromise with you on this. Cannot compromise with this. So we got to keep little by little working at this. And the key to fixing this is you can't stress yourself out trying to be stress-free either. You can't stress yourself out trying to do this. And I know a lot of people shut it all out. They cancel because some sort of extreme person has stressed them out by this stuff. And they came in and become miserable human beings that say, oh, is this like a BPA free? Oh, is this diaper made of cotton? Oh, you're offering me this drink. Oh, it's in a plastic cup I can't drink with. There was a woman one time. She went during the Iraq War to the White House iftar. During the Iraq War. Like, why are you sitting with this person? Right? Then this person was later on, we're in a meeting at someone's house, and someone offers her a plastic bottle of water to break her fast with. I said, I don't take plastic. Yeah, but you go and sit with tyrants? Oh my gosh, you are the type of person that makes everyone hate this stuff. Oh, I don't take plastic, but you go and sit with George W. Bush at the White House iftar like a munafiq while he's butchering Muslims for the second time, right? He did it in Afghanistan, now he does it in Iraq. That's okay with you, but you're going to go nuts on a plastic bottle. So those types of crazies and extreme people make you feel guilty, give you a list of things that it's just so impossible to do that you just want to cancel the whole thing, right? This is the same thing with religion. It's the same thing with language. It's the same thing with fitness. And you go to these noobs, they know stuff, but they don't know how to take someone from A to Z. If you want to take someone from A to Z and they come for the first lesson, then today's lesson is capital A. Oh, I know capital A. All right, that's okay. Keep practicing capital A. Tomorrow's lesson, lowercase a. No, you get a newbie who's a sophomore who knows the alphabet, but he doesn't know how to teach. He says, all right, today we're going to cover A through M, uppercase, lowercase, cursive, sans serif, serif fonts. Oh, I'm stressed out. I'm done with this. I'm never going to touch the alphabet again. You just stressed me out. But if you notice how you got good at what you got good at, is because nobody pressured you into it with too much pressure, and you did it on your own, and you did little by little, and over a long period of time. I mean, 2 years later, hold on a second, guys, I'm actually good at this. Right? But why did you get good at it? Because it went little by little in an enjoyable way. And that's how I take the deen. That's how I take health. That's how I take finances. The moment somebody comes to me and says, all right, you're going to have to do 5 things right off the bat, cancel these 10 things in your life right off the bat. Now you're just going to demoralize me, right? I'm demoralized. Same thing with religious people who go in and they go on YouTube and Instagram and say 1,000 things are haram. Brother, relax yourself a little bit. Forget this and just hang out with Muslims, and that's it. If they bother you, hang out with another group of Muslims. Just hang out with Muslims, you'll learn. Drips, 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 and all of a sudden, I got a ton of fresh water to drink from. I can now actually give out water. And that's how we massage things in, especially in the modern world, which is coming at us like a runaway train that it's so hard to avoid. So guilt is not something that we want to engage in and put in our hearts, because you just won't do anything, right? You just won't do anything. Speaketh. Mujahadat al-Nafs is for the halal and the haram. And for the fard and for the haram. For everything that is nafla, that's not where we need to do that absolute mujahada. The absolute mujahada. So mujahadat al-Nafs, the struggle against the ego, it can also be elastic, little by little. Just little by little. All right, little by little. And there are some mathematical formulas that just work. If you want to lose weight, you just, like, where does the weight come from? It comes from this hole in your face. You just keep putting stuff in, right? That's literally where the fat is coming from. You're not born with it. It's not just coming for no reason. You are actually consciously inserting it into your body. You can decrease that. Any one of us can decrease it. I guarantee you, we can decrease it. Guaranteed, any one of us within a 4-year period of time can be going 2 days without stress at all, without having eaten food. How are you going to defeat such a person in terms of getting lean and getting cured? Because your body's going to eat itself out. It's going to eat out, but you have to do it with knowledge, and you'll learn. So you got to do it little by little. Like, you can't set a timer and go 12 hours, I'm not going to eat anything. I'm going to drink, but I'm not going to eat. Anyone could do that. We just did it in Ramadan. No food or drink. So then take a day off. Next day, 13 hours. Take a day off. Even if your day off, you nullify it. Who cares? You're just getting used to the habit. You nullify it by eating a lot. Next, take a day off after that, 13 and a half hours. When you hit 14, do that 14 for a month. Every other day. It's so easy. Little by little, it's so easy. And then you can celebrate at the end of and the first year, it's actually okay. You nullify the whole thing. Every time when you sit down to eat after that, you nullify it and negate it. Who cares? You're getting into the habit. You know what this is like? This is like a restaurant owner actually not making money by giving you free stuff to come into his shop. But what has he created for you? A behavior pattern. He's created you a habit to stop at his place. There was a coffee shop one time was failing. And a guy who passes by, gets coffee. This is great coffee, but you're failing. What's going on? Because he's one of those, this is a long time ago, one of those guys who's really good at making coffee. But he's really good at the food, but bad at the business. Okay? And this guy was a businessman. He was a marketing guy. He said, you got an amazing product here. I said, listen, I can help you to turn this thing around. I said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to give away free coffee today. I said, well, it's like the negating of business altogether. He said, that's why you're a chef and I'm the businessman, right? I want you to give away, put a sign up that says free coffee today. Okay. But you also got to mark up everything else. Little 10%. Donut up 10%. Right? Pastry up 10%. Let's give away the free coffee. So what did he do? He gave away free coffee for about 2 weeks. He gave away free coffee. But people came in, they got used to it, became a habit, And back in the day, we're talking about, you're not advertising to the whole county as we are today on Instagram, and people drive to you. No, it's walking. Everything was by walking, right? So your whole customer base is like 300 people, right? But he got the people accustomed to going there, drinking coffee, maybe buying a donut. So you lost money, but you created a culture and a habit. You created a habit. That's the key. And you created a habit. This timer, when I set it off for eating, I'm not eating. Now there are exceptions, like everything, rukhsa, right? For example, you guys came in with the sweets. It's from the bad akhlaq to reject a gift that somebody gives you. Who cares about now at that point your little habits? Sunnah takes precedent over that. So there are exceptions. But the idea is to create a habit. Even if that means negating the result of the habit, the goal of the habit for the first period of time when it's not created. Okay. And so every other day you have it's almost like a little iftar. It's almost like a little happiness because when you finish your day. But there's going to come a time where you get far better and better and better and better. And now you're just a machine. It's a habit. And you'd be shocked that there can be a time where you haven't eaten in 40 hours, but you haven't even felt it. You haven't felt it. You're operating as smoothly as anybody else. And now you wonder why there are some people in their health is here and other people are here. It's nothing other than the ability to trick yourself into a habit. Now, the Huffaz are no different. Every achievement is done the same way. And no achievement should be done by force and stick and all that stuff. Can't achieve it. You're going to hate it. You know, well, that's why the NBA and sports stinks these days. Yeah. All these athletes, I would say 20% of them, the parents force them into it. Maybe 10% of them. That's enough to ruin the game. If there are 2-3 players on every team that really don't want to be there, right? Oh, I saw the other day a guy, he said, dude, he doesn't want to be there. Jokic doesn't want to be there.
You saw that meme? It was like, he won.
Mm-hmm. The guy has not want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there are people out there who are in professional sports who look down on the people who care, who want to win the championship. So when you have that, you've killed the sport because the viewer wants to see a drama. We want to see two dogs that really want it. And that's why 80s NBA, 90s NBA was amazing. Current NBA, the guys don't even want to play. Those older guys, generations, they couldn't even believe they're getting money to play a game. And these guys, if there was a pickup game or a preseason game, he wanted to play the game for the love of it. Regardless whether it was a preseason game, televised, not televised, whatever. These guys played probably 80% of the preseason games, 100%. And the reason they didn't play preseason was because the coach wanted to try out the rookies. The veterans, you're already in the game. You're on the team. We want to check out these new guys, young guys. That's the only reason they didn't play. Other than that, they loved it. So the love of the thing is lost through force. All right, that's enough. We got to go. Let's pray Salat al-Dhuhr. And then, of course, the Ahnaf, you guys got another probably 2 hours. 1 hour left. Let's go pray Salat al-Dhuhr, and then we have errands to do, and then we have class at the masjid with the youth, and we're barely going to make all this. Jazakumullahu khairan, everybody. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabri. Wassalamu alaykum.